Hello, Stratomaticers. Welcome back for another edition of Stratomatic Super Advanced Baseball. My name is Keith. I'll be your host. Today we've got something a little bit different. We're getting out of the 1911 teams for a little bit. I picked up the Diamond Gems B teams from the 80s last week. Showed up on Friday at my doorstep. Wanted to do an exhibition between two teams that I really enjoyed from the 1980s. In this presentation, the 1985 World Series champions Kansas City Royals and the 1987 World Series champions Minnesota Twins. So this should be a fun one. Just by ways of introduction to the Gems series, this is the first one that I've purchased outright. Usually I'll purchase the team sets. But I thought I'd make a bit of a smaller purchase here. Part of the reason is I'm thinking of playing a tournament with the Gem B teams from the 80s. I think there's overall 8 teams, and a small tournament format could be put together relatively easily and allow me to play it through to completion. So, as I look at Stratomatic, I'm really interested in the 2022 series season. Looking to get into competitive play with that series, and so I think a lot of my time is going to be focused on breaking down the 2022 cards here when they come out and getting more involved in tournaments as well. But anyways, want to keep it fun too, so let me do a quick introduction to the Diamond Gem sets. It's kind of neat when you get it. You get 8 teams. You get a nice little booklet which talks about the different teams, a little bit of historical information, top performers, the cards that are represented within that Gems purchase. Gives you a couple suggested lineups against lefties, righties, and then you get the ballpark effects too. So I'm just going to show this to you so you can see it, hopefully. Simple presentation. Kind of makes it concise for being able to get into it quickly without much thought. But always interesting to read a little bit of the history behind the teams as well. So you get a booklet like that, and then you also get the cards themselves. This Diamond Gems B series from the 80s includes, as I mentioned, the 85 Royals, the 87 Twins, the 82 Brewers are included, the 83 Orioles, the 84 Tigers, the 86 Red Sox, the 81 Yankees, and the final team is the 88 Dodgers. So, handful of World Series winners there, a couple of runner-ups. Could make an interesting tournament, as I mentioned. So that's a little bit by way of introduction to the Diamond Gem B series from the 80s. For the two teams we have facing one another today, we'll go through pitching matchups and then starting lineups as well, and then we'll get into the game. So for the Twins, they are the home team. We're playing in the Hubert H. Humphrey Metrodome, the Homer Dome. So that game, again, it's just an exhibition. Took lineups of my own devise here for this game. I've got Brett Saberhagen for the Royals starting out, and then Frankie Viola for the Twins. Two of the best pitchers from both teams are represented, and then starting lineups will reflect the key and important players from each of those seasons. So let's get started. So the Homer Dome, the Metrodome, recently, within the past probably 13 years, replaced by the new stadium at Target Field in downtown Minneapolis. The Metrodome, always dear to my heart. Saw a lot of baseball games there. Always a great venue from a family standpoint to be able to go and take your kids for a cheap Sunday game. We'd always end up sitting out in the upper deck in left field, but vantage points were always good and the concessions were cheap. It was a pretty inexpensive form of entertainment for my wife and I to bring our 3 kids to the ball game. But saw a lot of games played in the Metrodome, not just for the Twins, but also the Vikings as well. So as ugly a stadium as that was, it always has a dear place in my heart. So, little ballpark statistics for the Metrodome. Lefties get a single on a 1 through 13, righties a 1 through 10, and then the homers are the same for each with ballpark effects. 1 through 11 from either side of the plate will result in a home run, 12 or greater and out. We do use the special rules around home runs as part of the SuperAdvanced game for Strat Matic, so it's actually a little bit greater on a roll of an 11 or 12. We'll consult the defensive strategy chart for an outfielder robbing a home run to see what happens, but it gives you a little bit of perspective of how symmetrical the Metrodome was. So for the Minnesota Twins, as I mentioned, we've got Frankie Sweet Music Viola on the mound today. Viola was the Twins' ace in '87, and actually for a few years up until he went to the Mets via a trade. I think that was the '89 season that he ended up getting traded to the Mets, where the Twins got quite a few additions to their teams that helped set them up for the '91 World Series championship that they were able to win over the Atlanta Braves. So Sweet Music, left-handed hurler. He has a point of weakness of 7, defensively an average pitcher, 317. We will be using the DH for this game, so hitting statistics and also bunting statistics for the pitchers are irrelevant. He does offer a balk on a 2 or less, and he can throw a wild pitch on a 1 or less. Again, he's a lefty, but important for this game, trying to keep those Royals honest on the base paths. He's a -5 for his hold rating. So overall, his statistics for 1987, he was 17 and 10, 2.90 ERA. He made 36 starts, 252 innings pitched, allowed 230 hits, 66 walks, 197 strikeouts, with 29 home runs allowed. I think the role that he played throughout the '87 season, given the fact that the Twins pitching staff was just utterly lousy, I've got to imagine it's probably one of the worst starting pitching cores in World Series history, was that he was that consistent man in the rotation that when it came his turn to pitch, he was able to, right any wrongs that in terms of lost games, or to give those Twins an extremely competitive advantage. So crucial role in that. He did the same thing in the '87 World Series as well. He actually pitched 3 of the 7 games that the Twins played against the St. Louis Cardinals in the '87 series, winning 2 and losing 1. So he was the Game 7 winning pitcher, but he did pitch on short rest, and Tom Kelly, the Twins skipper, used his pitching staff the right way to get through that 7-game series, given that they had such a lack of talent. I would say too, though, they had Jeff Reardon as a closer, and they had a couple other pitchers. Burt Blyleven, Hall of Famer, was on that staff, but he was at the tail end of his career. But they had just enough decent pitchers outside of Viola to help them win that World Series crown. A big part of the '87 Twins was their lineup, and we'll get into that next. But Viola played a huge part of that. He was the World Series MVP by pitching in those 3 games. So the Twins lineup for today's game, we've got Dan Gladden starting in left field. He's a right-handed hitter, a 2.5 defensive player. Greg Gagne at short. He's a 224. He's also a right-handed batter. My personal favorite Twin, Kirby Puckett, is in center field. Hall of Famer. He's a 1.6, and he has a -4 arm, which he also bats from the right side. Kent Herbeck, my all-time favorite first baseman. When I was a kid, I always emulated him and wanted to play the game like he did. Even though he was a lefty, I was a righty. He was awesome to watch. He was 2-6 defensively, and again batted from the left side of the plate. Gary Gaetti, the Rat, fielding rating of 1, error rating of 12. He batted from the right side. Roy Smalley had a nice season in '87, was the DH. He was a switch hitter. He left the Twins, I think the late '70s, went to New York, and then came back to be a part of the Twins for the '87 season. Tom Brunansky, right fielder, power hitter, hits from the right side of the plate, good defense at 2-4 and had a -1 arm. Tim Laudner, catcher, offensively somewhat weak, but he was serviceable defensively, played a role in both the 87 and 91 World Series that the Twins played in. For this game, he's catching a 3 and a 4 defensively, arm average at 0, throwing error committed 1 through 8, and then a pass ball of 6. And then our second baseman, Steve Lamberdozzi, 218 and hit from the right side. You look at this, even though the Twins had a really weak pitching staff defensively, Tom Kelly always fielded good defensive teams. And you see this in the defensive ratings of the Twins. They're above average in all positions, with the exception maybe of Tim Laudner at catcher, where he's just an average catcher. But good arms to strength 2 in 2 out of the 3 outfield positions. So those are your 87 Twins. They were 85 and 77 overall. They had a really good win rate in the Metrodome, very poor road record. They defeated the St. Louis Cardinals 4-3 in the 87 series. And again, Tom Kelly is your skipper. So those are your Twins. Let's go ahead and introduce the Kansas City Royals. On the mound for the Royals is Brett Saberhagen. Saberhagen was the 1985 American League Cy Young Award winner. So it tells you just outright how good he was that season. And he was a real staple of that Royals pitching staff for a number of years. He's got a point of weakness of 7, similar to Viola. Defensively, he's a 212, so he's above average in defense. He issues a balk on a 5 or less, a wild pitch 1 or less. He does throw from the right side, and he has a hold rating of -2. So we look at the back side of his card. He was 20 and 6 in 85. He had a 2.87 ERA, 32 starts, 235 innings pitched, 211 hits were allowed, 38 walks issued throughout the entire season, so excellent control. I think we saw that Viola had 66 walks issued in that same year, and he did have 158 strikeouts, allowing 19 home runs. So we'll have a fun pitching matchup between Saberhagen and Viola. Looking at the Royals lineup, they were managed by Dick Hauser in 85. He was a 91 and 7. He led their team to a 91 and 71 record. They were a World Series winner, also over the St. Louis Cardinals, 4-3. Leading off, they have Willie Wilson in center field, offensively a 1-2, switch hitter with a +1 arm. Lonnie Smith plays left. He's a 4-14 with a +2 arm, hitting from the right side. Hall of Famer George Brett, he is playing third base, fielding rating of 2, error rating of 16, hits from the left side. Brett was an 85 MVP runner-up to Don Mattingly, and again a Hall of Famer, probably one of the best third basemen ever. Hal McRae, DH, hitting from the right side. Batting in the 5th spot is Frank White, second baseman, 119 defensively, hitting from the right side. Steve Balboni, first base, 312, hitting from the right side. Darryl Motley, playing right field, a 312, hitting from the right side, 0 in terms of his arm strength. So the Royals outfield is, someone that the Twins definitely could run on, albeit they don't have a lot of team speed. Jim Sundberg's the catcher, 2 and a 2 defensive rating, -2 arm, hits from the right side, commits throwing error 1-7, pass ball and a 3, and then Onyx Concepcion is their shortstop, a 332, and hits from the right side of the plate. So those are your Kansas City Royals for this game. We'll go ahead and get started. Royals are going to bat first as the visitors, and let's see how Frankie can do in today's game. Let's play some ball. So top of the first, Frankie Viola is on the mound facing Willie Wilson. Viola's a left-handed hurler. Wilson's a switch hitter, so he'll be batting from the right side of the plate. The pitch from Viola is a 5 and a 2. results in a ground ball second base X. Wilson hits a hard grounder to Lamberdosi. Lamberdosi is a 2 and an 18. So right away we get to play off the super advanced fielding chart. That's going to result in a 1 and a 14. That's an SI1. And then an 18. So it's an SI1, so that's a single. So Willie Wilson gets the Royals off to a good start by hitting a single. Going to bring up the right-handed hitting Lonnie Smith. Smith plays left field for the Royals. Twins are going to hold Willie Wilson at first. It's going to be Lamberdosi and Herbeck working together to do so. I'm going to attempt to 14, 12. I'm going to hold Wilson at first. Overall attempt would be a 12 or less, and I don't want to risk it here in the first inning, so we're going to go ahead and pitch away to Smith. It's a 2, so there we had a possible occurrence here. Possible balk. Viola has a balk rating of 2 or less, and it's a 6, so no balk occurs, so we're going to re-roll the 3 dice. Hold still remains on for Willie Wilson. That's a 1 and a 4 against a left-handed pitcher. Results in a ground ball third base B. So the batter's safe, runner at first is out, so we have a fielder's choice. So 1 out recorded. Put Smith at first. Wilson is retired. For George Brett. Smith's going to be held. So Gagne and Herbeck are going to work together to keep Smith close to the bag. Pitch to Brett. It's a 6 and a 5 against the left-handed batter. Results in a strikeout. So 2 down now for the Royals in the top of the first. I'm going to bring up DH Hal McRae. McRae in 85 had a 259 average, 14 home runs. So let's go ahead and swing away with Hal McRae. Smith is still held at first. That's a 3 and a 5 against a left-handed pitcher. The ground ball shortstop A. So a leadoff walk to Willie Wilson. Royals are not able to take advantage of that. They strand him, strand a base runner, Lonnie Smith, off of 1 hit, no errors committed, 1 left on base, and at the end of a half inning, we have a tie game at 0. Bottom half of the first, Royals unable to capitalize off a leadoff single by Willie Wilson. Brings Dan Gladden to the plate for the Twins. Saberhagen on the mound. Gladden, the 2022 Twins Hall of Fame inductee. Wife and I had a chance to go to that game and listen to his induction speech. It was pretty fun. He's a character, also a current Twins broadcaster on the radio station. A 4 and a 9 against a right-handed batter results in a single. So Gladden is able to achieve a leadoff single, puts him at first base. Hold rating for Saberhagen, -2. Jim Sundberg is a -2 arm, so an overall -4 pitcher-catcher combo on that. Drop our potential steal chance down to a 12 with a good lead. Not interested in going for that at the moment. We're going to have Gagne go ahead and swing away. We'll give Gladden the benefit of the doubt of keeping him honest at first. We're going to hold him. Pitch from Saberhagen to Gagne is a 1 and a 4 against a right-handed batter. Is a fly ball right field B. Going to be the first out of the inning for the Twins. Gagne is retired. Going to bring up Hall of Famer Kirby Puckett. Gladden still being held at first. Pitch to Puckett. A 1 and 11 against a right-handed pitcher. It's a ballpark effect home run. So Puckett will hit a home run on a roll of 1 to 11. And that's a 16. That's going to be a fly out to our left fielder, Lonnie Smith. Hit that one right up against the warning track, but Smith was able to haul it in. So 2 down now for the Twins. Brings up left-handed hitting first baseman Kent Hrbek. Gladden remains held at first. Actually, I'm going to take that hold off. Gladden is not going to steal. That's a 4 and a 4 against the left-handed batter, results in a catcher X. So Jim Sundberg is going to be able to make a play here, hopefully, for the Royals. Defensively, he's a 2/2. Go ahead and roll for that. Oops, sorry again. That's a 5 and a 13. So 2 and a 5 is a G3. A 2 and a 13 results in nothing. So that's going to be, let's say, a squib in front of home plate by Hrbek. Sundberg picks it up, throws it over to Balboni. 3rd out of the inning recorded. Twins strand Gladden at first, and after 1, game's knotted up at 0. Royals second baseman Frank White faces Viola. Top of the second, scores tied at 0. 6 and an 11 against a right-handed batter, results in a fly ball right field X. Brunansky camps underneath. We'll get your results here in just a second. 2-4 for Brunansky. It's an 8 and a 13. That's going to be an F2, and then a 4 and a 13 for a right fielder, results in no error. So fly ball hit to Brunansky, camps underneath, catches it. 1st out of the inning for the Royals. Steve Balboni's up next. Balboni hit 36 home runs in 1985. The delivery from Viola. It's a 4 and a 3 against a right-handed batter, results in a ballpark effect single. Balboni gets a single on a roll of 1 through 10, and that's an 18. That's a line out to the shortstop. 2 quick outs for Viola and the Twins. Brings Darryl Motley, right fielder, to the plate. It's a 6 and a 5 against a right-handed batter, is a strikeout. Viola has his 2nd strikeout of the day. The Royals go down 1-2-3 in their half of the 2nd. Twins are going to start with the Rat, Gary Gaetti, 3rd baseman, facing Saberhagen. Gaetti, part of the 30 home run club in 87 for the Twins. Hit 31. 6 and a 7 against a right-handed batter, results in a ground ball second base X. Ball's hit to Frank White, who's a slick fielding 119. That's a 10 and a 16. It's going to be a G1. And then a 19 on the second base. And roll to 16 is a blank, so that's an out. 4-3. So Gaetti's retired. 4-3. White to Balboni for the first out of the Twins half of the second. Brings up the designated hitter Roy Smalley. It's a 4 and a 6. Pitch from Saberhagen. Switch hitter, so he's batting from the left side. 4 and a 6 is a strikeout. So first strikeout of the day for Saberhagen. Gives the Royals 2 quick outs. Right fielder Tom Brunansky's up next. He had 32 home runs in '87. Twins always reminded me of a softball team with their ability to hit home runs with Puckett, Herbeck, Gaetti, and Brunansky. That's a 3 and a 7 against a right-handed pitcher, results in another strikeout. So 2 strikeouts for Saberhagen in the inning, and the Twins go down 1-2-3. And after 2, all games knotted up at 0. Top of the third, game's tied at 0. Catcher Jim Sundberg is up first for the Royals. Viola kicks and delivers. It's a 4 and a 4 against a right-handed batter, results in a catcher X. Laudner's going to have a play. Laudner's defensive ratings are 3/4. I think I mentioned in the introduction, a pretty average catcher. Serviceable though, he had a number of years catching for the Twins. So it's a 3 and a 14. Results in a PO. And then the 4 and an 11 results in no error. So it's going to be pop out to the catcher. So Sundberg's retired. First out. Got Onyx Concepcion, Royal shortstop, up next. Concepcion in 1985 had a 204 batting average. So not much of a threat at the plate. Although he does have a good bunting grade. Pitch from Viola is a 2 and a 4. Against a left-handed pitcher is a fly ball left field B, so fly out to Dan Gladden for the second out of the inning for the Royals. Back at the top of the lineup with Willie Wilson. Wilson started the game with a single. Switch hitter, he'll be batting from the right side against the lefty Viola. The pitch from Frank, a 2 and an 8. 2 and an 8 results in a single. So Wilson picks up his second single of the day. He's 2 for 2. Going to bring up Lonnie Smith with 2 outs. Smith in '85, 257 average, 366 slugging percentage, 321 on base percentage. I'm going to go ahead and hold Wilson at first. So you've got Lamberdozzi and Herbeck working together to keep Wilson near the base. I'm going to go ahead and attempt to roll for a good lead and try to steal with Wilson. Even though Viola's got that -5 hold rating, I'd like to get a little action going here now. That's a 5, so Wilson does achieve a good lead. We're going to compute the chance of success. We begin with the 19 as our base. We've got a -5 for Frank Viola. Sundberg is a -2. We're taking 7, and then we've got another 2 for the good lead. So he's got a 50-50 chance of successfully stealing second. A 1 through 10. That's a 14, so Wilson is caught stealing. A little bit risky, but might have overplayed my aggressiveness there. But I was really liking to get Smith and get Wilson over. Maybe get Wilson into scoring position, so on a ball hit to the outfield, he'd be able to maybe score on a single. So anyways, no harm, no foul. It's going to bring up Twins catcher Tim Laudner in the bottom third for the Twins. Laudner had a pretty modest stat line for 1987, 191 batting average. Had about maybe at 50% of the games he participated in, 288 at bats. Really not a whole lot there. He did hit 16 home runs, however. So we'll see what he can do here. Delivery for Saberhagen. The 4 and a 12 against the right-handed batter is a ground ball, third base B. So that's a ground out 5-3 for Laudner. It's going to bring up our second baseman, Steve Lamberdozzi. Lamberdozzi was a 238 hitter in 87. Pitch from Saberhagen. There's a 6 and a 7 against a right-handed batter. Results in a ground ball, second base X. Hit to Frank White. It's a 119. It's going to be a 17 and a 9. So a 1 and a 17 is a G1, and then a 19, and I rolled a 9 is a blank, so that's going to be a ground out 4-3 for Lamberdozzi. 2 quick outs by the Royals brings us back to the top of the order with Dan Gladden. Gladden had a single in the first. Twins looking to get something going here. Saberhagen deals. That's a 2 and a 7 against a right-handed pitcher. That's a single 1-4. Line out third base 5-20. Brett leaps, makes an amazing catch, robs Gladden of his second hit for the day. It's a line out 5. That's the third out of the inning. So after 3, Royals 0, Twins 0. Top of the fourth, Lonnie Smith is at bat. He was the batter in the box when Wilson was thrown out on the stolen base attempt during the top of the third. I would like to make a correction. I made a mistake when I computed Wilson's base running success chance on that steal. I'd given Laudner a -2 on his arm. That was incorrect. He has a 0 for his arm rating. So Viola would have had a -5 for the pitcher-catcher modifier on that. So I think I gave him a -7. Wouldn't have changed the outcome. I think he rolled a 15 or 16. But just wanted to let everyone know that I did make a mistake on that. So Lonnie Smith is up. Game's tied at 0, top of the fourth. It's a 1 and an 8 against the left-handed pitcher. Results in a fly ball, center field B. So Lonnie Smith is out. 1 out, recorded. Brings up Hall of Famer and superstar third baseman George Brett. Brett struck out in the first. Viola delivers. It's a 4 and a 9 against the left-handed batter, and that is a walk. So Brett reaches on a Viola walk. I'm going to bring up Hal McRae, Royals DH. Brett has a good lead on a roll of a 3. He doesn't have the asterisk, so he doesn't automatically get it. I'm not going to hold Brett. If he wants to roll for a good lead, he can. He'd have overall, if he does achieve that good lead, an 11 to steal. I'm going to hold him there. McRae's going to swing away. Infield's going to be positioned normal. So that's a 2 and a 6 against the left-handed batter. Results in another walk. So Viola runs into a little bit of control problems here in the top of the fourth. Issues 2 walks. Puts a runner in scoring position with that. He's got Frank White coming up next. Second baseman for the Royals flew out to right field in the second inning. We're going to swing away with White. Infield is playing normal. It's a 1 and an 8 against the left-handed pitcher. It results in a a clutch hitting symbol. However, we will ignore that because we do not have 2 outs, and it's a single to right field. So single to right field. So I'm just going to do this for now. I'm going to move Brett over to third. McRae is going to go to second. White is going to go to first. Then I'm going to see if I'm going to send Brett home. So we have a single to right field. We had runners on first and second, so our lead runner was at second. So it's an A, running speed plus outfielder's arm. So it's Brett is a 14. Brunansky's arm is a -1. Then B is if 2 outs. We don't have 2 outs. If hit to right field, add 2. So we're going to add 2 to that. And then that's it. If runner is held, subtract 1. If runner not held, add 1. So the runner was not held. So we're going to add 1 to that. A, B, and D. So we're not going to add the 2 to right field. So that's 14 minus 1 plus 1 is a 14 or less for Brunansky to score. And then we've got our trail runner is our batter. Or is that first actually? A -5 plus B, C, and D. So McRae is a running rating of 10. So that's A -5. That's going to be 10 minus 5 is 5. Plus 2. So that's 7 for right field. And then D, 8. So my options are offense decides to send the lead runner. I'm going to. Defense decides whether to throw for the lead runner or let him advance. Lead runner advances, trail runner holds. I'm going to go ahead and cut the throw home. I'm going to let Brett score, and I'm going to keep McRae at second base. So White's going to pick up an RBI. Brett is going to score. That's the first run scored of the game. And McRae will stay at second. White will stay at first. We've got 1 out, 1 run in on the single to right field by Frank White. It's going to bring up the catcher the first baseman, Steve Balboni, with 1 out. McRae is not going to be held at second. Pitch to Balboni, a 3 and an 8 against a left-handed pitcher. Results in a fly ball center field B with a question mark. It's going to be an 8. So Balboni is the second out of the inning, and McRae is going to stay put at second base. I'm going to bring up Darryl Motley. Got 2 down now. Motley's at the plate. Pitch to Motley. The 6 and a 9 against a right-handed batter is a ground ball, shortstop X. Ball's hit to Gagne. Gagne is a pretty slick fielding shortstop. He's a 224. Ooh, not good. It's going to result in an SI1. And then the 24, I rolled a 914. And it's a blank, so it's a SI1. So it's a single, runners advance 1 base. So the ball just gets past Gagne. Motley reaches first on a single. And we've got bases loaded for the catcher, Jim Sundberg. 2 down. Sundberg popped out to the catcher, Tim Laudner, in the 3rd inning. Infield is playing normal. The pitch from Viola is a 5 and a 7 against a right-handed batter. That's going to be a strikeout. So when needed most, Viola is able to bear down and strike out Jim Sundberg with bases loaded. The tie is broken though. Royals take a 1-0 lead. Time for the Twins to hit in the bottom of the 4th. Royals 1, Twins 0. Greg Gagne is going to get the Twins going here against Saberhagen. Gagne hit ball to right field for an out in the 1st. It's a 5 and a 12 against a right-handed batter. Results in ground ball pitcher X. Saberhagen is a 2-12. Going to be a 16 and a 6. It's a G1. And a 12 and a 6 is an E1. So Gagne is going to reach on an error committed by Saberhagen. And the Twins have their leadoff batter on base with no outs. So that's an E1. Gagne's at first. It's going to bring up the center fielder, Hall of Famer Kirby Puckett. Gagne is going to be held. We've got Frank White and Steve Balboni holding Gagne at first. Delivery from Saberhagen to Puckett. It's a 4 and a 9 against a right-handed batter, and that's a single, 2 stars. So Puckett comes through in the clutch. Delivers a single. Moves Gagne over to 3rd. Twins have the tying run 90 feet away. It's going to bring up left-handed hitting first baseman Kent Hrbek. Hrbek hit a squib in the 1st inning to end the 1st. Hit a little blooper right out in front of Sundberg, who picked it up and tossed it to Balboni for the out. It's looking to make some noise here, however. Taking a look here, we're going to I'm going to hold Puckett at first. Pitch from Saberhagen to Hrbek is a 2 and a 2 against a left-handed pitcher, or excuse me, right-handed pitcher. Is a fly ball right field A plus injury. So we ignore the injuries for the sake of this game. It's going to be a fly ball right field A. So short fly ball to right, retires Hrbek, and 1 out. It's going to bring up Gary Gaetti. Puck is still going to be held at first. We've got 1 out. We've got a potential wild pitch, or excuse me, potential wild pitch here. Wild pitch from Saberhagen occurs on a roll of a 1. No wild pitch. We're going to re-roll the 3 6-sided dice. It's going to be a 3 and a 3 against a right-handed pitcher. That's a fly ball right field B with a question mark. All right, so we're going to get an opportunity to send Gagne home. Gaetti's retired. 2nd out. See if he can get a sacrifice fly. So we've got runners on 1st and 3rd. It's A plus 2, so running speed plus outfielder's arm. Motley is a 0 in right field, so that's a 17 plus 0 for the arm plus 2. So that's a 19 or less. Puckett's chance of advancing would be his running speed 17 minus 5 for a 12. So I'm going to let Gagne score, given the fact that he's almost has a 100% chance of succeeding. We're going to keep Puckett at first. So Puckett remains at first. Gagne picks up the sac fly, an RBI. We got a tie game. That error by Saberhagen allowed Gagne to reach first. So no charge earned run on that play. We've got Roy Smalley, the designated hitter, up next. Puckett is at first. I'm not going to hold Puckett. I'm going to play my infield normal, which would automatically give Puck a good lead. We've got the -2 arm for hold, or we've got the -2 hold for Saberhagen, a -2 arm for Sundberg. Reduce Puckett's chance of going to second to an 11. I'm not going to risk that. I'm going to go ahead and have Smalley swing away. He is hitting from the left side of the plate as he is a switch hitter. That's a 2 and a 7 against a right-handed pitcher. Results in a fly out to the center fielder. Willie Wilson plants underneath, and the third out of the Twins inning is recorded. But not after they get one back. And after 4, the score is tied at 1. Top of the 5th, score is tied at 1. Royals' 9th hitter, Onyx Concepcion, attempting to get the KC team going here. He flew out to left field in the 3rd inning. Viola so far has allowed 4 hits, 1 run, which was earned, 2 walks, and 3 strikeouts is the line on Frank through 4 innings. Delivery to Concepcion is a 6 and a 12. Yahtzee results in a ballpark effect home run. So in the Metrodome, also known affectionately as a Homer Dome, for a right-handed batter, it's a 1 through 11 is the roll that we need for a home run. Otherwise, it's a long fly ball to left field. So it is an 11. So we are playing all the rules of the SuperAdvanced system. So we're going to look here at outfielder robbing a home run. Occurs when the last number in the home run range is rolled or the first number in the flyout range is rolled. So in this case it was a 1 through 11, and we did indeed roll an 11. Our left fielder is Dan Gladden, has a fielding rating of 2. So we're going to look here. The outfielder's rating is 2. It's a home run on a 1 to 7, a flyout on an 8 to 20, and it's a 1. So Onyx Concepcion, a very light hitter. Let's see, in 85, Concepcion had 2 total home runs. He's able to bag one off of Viola, and the Royals have a 2-1 lead off of the solo shot by Onyx Concepcion. Royals dugout is quite happy with that. Powder blue jerseys of the Royals fans in the stadium are cheering loudly. Just going to bring up Willie Wilson, Royals leadoff hitter. Wilson is 2 for 2 on the day. He was caught stealing in the 3rd by an aggressive base running move by Dick Hauser, the Royals manager. Pitch from Viola is a 2 and an 11. Results in a ballpark effect single. So Wilson is batting from the right side. That means that on a 1 through 10 he gets a single, an 11 or greater, to line out to the shortstop, and that is a single. Rolling well for the ballpark effects for the Royals players. So Wilson is 3 for 3 on the day. Wilson will be held. We've got the left fielder Lonnie Smith up next. Right-handed batter against Viola. The pitch is a 2 and a 9. against a left-handed pitcher is a double to left field. So Wilson is going to move over to third. Smith is going to go to second. We're going to compute Willie Wilson's chance of scoring from third base on that double to left field. So Gladden has an arm rating of 0. So we have a double anytime man's on first. It's A, which would be the running speed of Wilson, which is 17, plus outfielder's arm, which is 0. That makes it 17. We have B, if there's 2 outs, there are not. And then D, if the runner was held, which he was, subtract 1. It's going to be a 16 or less for Wilson to score. Our batter is our trail runner in this case, and that's A. He has a running speed of 17 minus 5. Bring it down to 12. No arm rating for Gladden. He's a 0 plus C. So we're going to subtract 2, so it'd be a 10. So I'm going to send Wilson. And I said that a 16 or less was needed. Defense decides whether to throw for the lead runner or let him advance. Lead runner advances, trail runner holds. I'm going to go ahead and let Wilson advance, and I'm going to keep Smith at second base. So I'm going to cut the throw off. So Smith on that double knocks in Wilson. First time in the game that Wilson's crossed the plate. Smith is going to pick up an RBI. And the Royals take the lead 2-1 on the double by Lonnie Smith. It's going to bring up third baseman. It's a 3-1 lead for the Royals. Concepcion hit a home run, and Lonnie Smith just knocked Wilson in with that double, so it's 3-1 Royals. It's going to bring up George Brett with no outs. Smith is going to be held at second by Gagne. Pitch to Brett is a 5 and a 6 against the left-handed batter. It's going to result in a strikeout. That's the second strikeout of the day for Brett. First out of the inning for the Royals. It's going to bring up designated hitter Hal McRae. Smith is still going to be held at second. That's a 1 and a 9 against a left-handed pitcher. 1 and a 9. Ballpark effect home run. So on a 1 through 11, McRae is going to hit a home run. 12 or greater. It'll be a fly ball to left field. And that's a 16. So that's a fly out to left field by McRae. Long ball though. Hit, but Gladden's able to catch it on the track for the second out of the inning. Viola lucks out there. I'm going to take the hold of Smith off. We're going to pitch straight up to Frank White. White on the day is 1 for 2. He had a single in the 4th inning. 2 down for the Royals. They're now leading 3-1. Viola's looked a little bit shaky the last 2 innings. Might be time for the Twins bullpen to get active here. It's a 3 and a 5 against a left-handed pitcher, results in a clutch on a clutch effect. So we'll take a look at that. We do have 2 outs. We do have a runner on second base. Alright, so if the original reading is any type of an out, make it a single. If the original reading is a single, make it a pop out instead. So that is going to be a pop out. Let's just check that. A 3 and a 5 against the left-handed pitcher is a pop out to center field. So that clutch hitting effect robs the Royals of a single and ends the inning for them. So the Royals are able to get 2 runs off of 2 hits, or excuse me, 3 hits, and they strand Smith at second base, and they now lead the Minnesota Twins 3-1. All right, bottom of the 5th. Royals lead 3-1. Good inning for the KC club at the top of the 5th. Solo home run by Onyx Concepcion and a double by Lonnie Smith knocking in Willie Wilson increased the Royals lead by 2-3 to 1 over the Minnesota Twins. So in this half of the 5th, we've got Tom Brunansky, right fielder, Tim Laudner, and the number 9 hitter Steve Lamberdosi. Saberhagen is cruising at the moment. His pitch to Brunansky, 6 and a 12. That's a ground ball pitcher X. I think this same role got Saberhagen into a bit of a trouble a couple innings ago. Let's see what happens here. Saberhagen, a little bit of a slicker fielding pitcher than most, is a 2-12. Go ahead and roll the dice here. Let's say 13 and an 11. So a 2 and a 13 results in a G1. And then the 12 and an 11 results in no play. So that's a ground out 1-3. So Saberhagen does a better job of taking advantage of the opportunity given to him by Brunansky. And Brunansky's retired 1-3. Brings up the catcher Tim Laudner, member of the Buck 91 fan club. He not a very good hitter throughout his career. He had a number of seasons with the Twins, but just not much of a hitter. Here we go. The roll. Pitch from Saberhagen, a 2 and a 6 against a right-handed pitcher is a ground ball third base B. That's a ground out 5-3. Brett Saberhagen is going to bring up the Twins number 9 hitter Steve Lamberdosi. 5 and a 6 against a right-handed batter results in a double 1-18, a single 19-20. So that's an 11. So Lamberdosi gets a 2-out double, keeps the Twins inning alive. Just the third hit given up by Saberhagen so far in the game. Puts a Twins runner in scoring position. Pretty good speed by Lamberdosi, above average. Brings up the Twins leadoff hitter Danny Gladden. Royals are going to play their infield normal, looking to complete a infield out if they can here. So here we go. Pitch to Gladden from Saberhagen is a 3 and a 7. Against a right-handed pitcher results in a strikeout. So Danny G is unable to do anything with the 2-out double by Lamberdosi. Lambo gets stuck at second off of 1 hit and no errors. And at the end of 5, it's the Royals 3 and the Twins 1. Frankie V faces Steve Balboni in the top of the 6th inning. Royals up 3-1. The pitch from Viola, a 1 and a 7 against the left-handed pitcher, results in a strikeout. So 5th strikeout recorded by Viola, and the Royals have 1 away. It's going to bring up the right fielder Darryl Motley. Motley on the day is 1 for 2. He struck out in the 2nd, had a single in the 4th. Viola pitches. It's a 4 and a 10 against a right-handed batter. It's going to result in a ballpark effect. Possible hit. So for right-handed batters, it's a single on a 1 through 10. Otherwise, 11 or greater, it's a line out to shortstop. And it is a line out to Greg Agney for the 2nd out. Catcher Jim Sundberg looks to keep the Royals going here in the top half of the 6th. Sundberg is 0 for 2 on the day. He had to put out a pop fly in the 3rd inning, and then he struck out in the 4th, so he's 0 for 2 on the day. Looking to reverse his fortunes here against Viola. A 1 and a 7 against a left-handed pitcher. Ballpark effect home run. So Sundberg is a right-handed batter. He will hit a home run on a 1 through 11, and that is a 3. So Sundberg hits a solo home run, increasing the Royals' lead by 3 to an overall 4-1 lead. Second home run given up by Viola. Interestingly enough, both of the home runs given up by Viola today are to the 8th and 9th batters respectively. So the bottom of the order having some success against Frankie V. This is going to bring up Onyx Concepcion, who, as I mentioned, had a solo home run in the 5th inning, flew out to left in the 3rd, 1 for 2 on the day, bases are empty, 2 outs, and the pitch to Concepcion, a 4 and an 8 against a right-handed batter results in a fly ball center field B. So fly ball hit to Kirby Puckett, gets the Royals out of the inning, but not after they pick up 1 off of the Sundberg solo home run. And after 5 1/2, it's the Royals 4 and the Twins 1. Up next for the Twins is the shortstop Greg Gagne. Gagne on the day is reached base on an error in the 4th, flew out to right field in the 1st. He was able to score on that error, and that error was committed by Brett Saberhagen. So the pitch to Gagne is a 1 and a 6 against a right-handed pitcher, and that is a strikeout. 3rd strikeout on the day for Saberhagen. Brings up the center fielder for the Twins, Kirby Puckett. The puck on the day is 1 for 2 with a single in the 4th, flew out to left in the 1st, 1 down. That's a 2 and a 6 against a right-handed pitcher as a ground ball shortstop A. And Puckett's retired 6-3 for the 2nd out. Left-handed hitting first baseman Kent Hrbek in the batter's box. The delivery from Saberhagen is a 2 and a 3 against a right-handed pitcher. It's a ballpark effect home run, so that's going to be a 1 through 11 for Hrbek to hit a solo shot, and that is a 20. So that's a deep fly ball to right field. Motley's underneath and collects the 3rd out of the inning for the Royals. So the Twins go 3 up, 3 down for a quick 6th inning, and after 6, Royals 4, Twins 1. 7. Royals lead 4-1. Kansas City starts off with their leadoff hitter Willie Wilson in the batter's box. He's 3 for 3 today, all singles. Was caught stealing in the 3rd inning and did score a run in the 5th. Viola is still on the mound for the Twins, however, manager Tom Kelly has right-handed pitcher Juan Berenguer and lefty Steve Carlton warming up should Viola get into trouble. The 7th inning is Viola and Saberhagen's point of weakness inning, so we'll see how this plays out. But again, Willie Wilson's at the plate. Viola pitches. It's a 2 and an 8. Results in a single, a leadoff single for Willie Wilson. So he's 4 for 4 today. We've got Lonnie Smith, the left fielder, up next. Wilson will be held at first. So Lamberdosi and Hrbek will hold Wilson. Smith is going to swing away. Wilson is going to stay put at first. It's a 1 and a 5 against the left-handed pitcher. It's a ground ball second base C. So that's going to result in the batter being out, runners advancing 1 base. So Wilson moves up into scoring position. Smith is retired for the 1st out. It's going to bring up George Brett. 3rd baseman for the day is 0 for 2 with a walk. He did score in the 4th inning off of that walk, has 2 strikeouts in his other 2 at-bats against Viola. Wilson will be held at second. So Greg Gagne's playing close to the base to make sure that Wilson doesn't get too good of a lead. The pitch from Viola, a 4 and a 9 against a left-handed batter, results in another walk. So 2nd walk given up to Brett today. Puts runners on 1st and 2nd. Bringing up the designated hitter, Hal McRae. McRae on the day is 0 for 2 with a walk. He also had a walk in the 4th inning. Flew out to left and then grounded out 6-3 in the 1st. Wilson continues to be held at second. Pitch to McRae. A 4 and a 4 against a right-handed batter is a catcher X. So Laudner's defense is going to be put to the test here. Laudner is a 3/4. Oh, sorry gang, I didn't roll it on the board here. That's a 19, which is going to be a G2. And a 4 and a 5 will be a random play. So a G4 random play. Excuse me, a G3 random play. Batter lines a shot that hits the mound and deflects to the fielder, who makes the play to first for the out. All runners advance 1 base on the play. So I guess we'll score that 2-3. So McRae's out 2-3. It's going to move Wilson to third. It's going to move Brett to second. So 2 down, and we've got the second baseman Frank White up next. So the infield will play normal. White's up, 2 down. He's going to swing away. On the day, Frank White is 1 for 3. He had a single in the 4th, flew out to right in the 2nd, and then a pop out to short center field in the 5th. The pitch is a 2 and a 5 against a left-handed pitcher, results in a ground ball shortstop A. Gagne to Herbeck for the 3rd out. So the Royals leave 2 stranded in scoring position off of 1 hit. Viola gives up 2 walks. At the end of 6 1/2, it's the Royals 4 and the Twins 1. Gary Gaetti, the Rat, is going to get things going for the Twins here in their half of the 7th inning. Gaetti on the day is 0 for 1 with a sacrifice in the 4th inning. He grounded out 4-3 in the 2nd. Saberhagen has really made short work of the Twins. Ran into a bit of trouble in the 4th inning, but more or less he sent them down 1 through 3 through the rest of the game. So Saberhagen's doing a nice job. Pitch to Gaetti. It's a 5 and a 7. It's going to result in a strikeout. So as with Viola, Saberhagen has reached his point of weakness inning. Dick Hauser does not have anybody warming up in the Royals bench. Looks like he's going to be able to ride Saberhagen as long as he can go. Pitch to Smalley. Smalley on the day is 0 for 2 with a strikeout in the 2nd. Fly out to center in the 4th. It's a 4 and a 7 against the left-handed hitting Smalley. Is a single on a 1-2. Line out the 2nd, 3 through 20. So that's a L4 for the 2nd out. It's going to bring up Tom Brunansky. Bruno is 0 for 2 on the day with a strikeout in the 2nd. Had a weak grounder back to Saberhagen in the 5th, which resulted in a throw out to Herbeck. So the pitch to Brunansky, a 6 and 11, results in a ground ball shortstop B. So again, Saberhagen sends the Twins down 1-2-3, and after 7, it's Kansas City 4, Minnesota 1. Alboni's up for the Royals, holding that 4-1 lead. Viola is still on the mound for the Twins. Berenguer and Carlton are ready to go in the bullpen should the need arise. A 6 and a 7 against a right-handed batter results in a ground ball shortstop B. So ground out, Gagne to Herbeck. 1 down for the Royals. It's going to bring up Darryl Motley. Motley, the Royals right fielder, is 1 for 3 on the day today. He had a single in the 4th inning. Did strike out in the second, lined out to short in the sixth. The pitch to Motley is a 1-11. It's going to result in a ground ball to second base. Lambeau to Herbeck, 2 away. Catcher Jim Sundberg is up next. Sundberg is 1 for 3 on the day. He did have that home run in the 6th inning. That was a solo blast. Struck out in the 4th and then popped out to Laudner, the catcher, in the 3rd. Pitch to Sundberg. 3 and a 6 against the left-handed pitcher. It's a ground ball, shortstop A. So the Royals go down in the top half of this 8th. 1-2-3. At the end of 7.5, the Royals 4 and the Twins 1. Twins really need to get something going here. Saberhagen has just been lights out today. He has given up 3 hits, has 5 strikeouts, no walks, with 1 run, and that one was not earned. So great outing today for Saberhagen. Going to bring up the catcher Tim Laudner. Laudner, Lamberdosi, and Gladden are the 3 Twins batters Saberhagen will face. Gladden, of course, is the top of the lineup for the Twins. So the 8th and 9th batters are going to try to get on base for the top of the Twins order. Twins need to get something going. Pitch from Saberhagen is a 3 and a 7. A 3 and a 7 is a single on a 1-2. Ground ball third base on that roll. So Laudner's out 5-3. Brett makes a nice fielding play over to Balboni for the first out of the Twins' 8th. Steve Lamberdosi up next. It's a 2 and a 3. Results in a ground ball to second base. So that's a 4-3. 2 outs. Dan Gladden, 2022 Minnesota Twins Hall of Fame inductee. Pitch from Saberhagen is a 2 and a 9. Results in a strikeout. So Saberhagen picks up his 6th strikeout of the day. Twins go down 1-2-3 yet again. I'm just going to count up here. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 1-2-3 innings for Saberhagen. The last 4 have been 1-2-3 innings since he gave up that sacrifice to Gary Gaetti in the 4th. So just a great job. 6 overall strikeouts for Saberhagen. So the top of the 9th for the Royals. We've got Onyx Concepcion starting out. Frank Viola still on the mound, looking for possibly a complete game here. Berenguer and Carlton are ready to go should the need arise. Pitch to Concepcion is a 4 and a 9 against a right-handed pitcher, or excuse me, batter, and that's a walk. Top of the order with Willie Wilson. Tom Kelly's going to make a change here, trying to keep the game close. Viola's had a pretty decent game. He's had 5 strikeouts, given up 2, 4, 7, 8, 9 hits, 4 runs, of which all were earned. Nice showing, but I think that that leadoff walk to Concepcion really probably spells the end for Viola. So Viola's going to come out having pitched 8 innings. He does own Concepcion at first. Right-handed pitcher Juan Berenguer is going to come in. Senor Smoke, as he was referred to by Twins fans, is going to face Willie Wilson. They're going to hold Concepcion at first. Wilson will be batting from the left side here. It's going to be Gagne and Herbeck working together to keep Concepcion close to the base. Pitch from Berenguer, a 2 and a 7 against left-handed batter, is going to result in a single to center field. So Puckett's gotten a rocket or a cannon, excuse me, for an arm in center, where Concepcion is going to be held at second. Wilson will go to first, and that's going to bring up the left fielder, Lonnie Smith. Concepcion will be held at second by Lamberdozzi. Smith's going to swing away. That's a 2 and a 9 against a right-handed pitcher. Results in a triple 1-9 and a fly ball 10-20. And that is a fly out to left field. So that's 1 down. Could have potentially spelled disaster had I rolled that triple for the Twins. Would have made the pitching change to Berenguer look pretty suspect. So 1 down. George Brett is up. Concepcion is still held at first. Cagney now takes over those responsibilities. A 4 and a 4 against the left-handed batter is a ballpark effect single. So on a 1 through 13, it's a single 1 star. 14 or greater, it's an out. So bases are now loaded. For Hal McRae. 1 down. Infield's playing normal. McRae's going to swing away. That's a 5 and an 11 against a right-handed batter. Results in a ground ball first base X. Well, I guess if there's one first baseman in the history of the major leagues that I want to have at first base when the bases are loaded and a ground ball is hit at him, it's Kent Hrbek. I can't imagine Hrbek is going to have an error here, but crazier things have happened. So that's a 7. It's going to result in a G2. And a 6. 11 on a 6 is a blank. So a G2 results in, drum roll please, bases loaded, a force. Batter safe, runner at first is out, going to second, other runners advance 1 base. So fielder's choice. So Brett reaches first. That means that Concepcion is going to score. Willie Wilson is going to go to third. And then Brett, what did I do here? So Brett was on first with a single. My apologies, scoring error. He is out, going to second. That's 2 outs. And McRae reaches first on the fielder's choice. I think we're squared away now. So we've got runners on the corners with 2 outs. White is at the plate. McRae is not a stolen base threat. And we are going to lift McRae for a pinch runner. McRae is our designated hitter. Hauser looking over his lineup. We're going to bring Omar Marino in. Left-handed hitter, speedy runner. He's a 1 through 17. From a base paths effectiveness. Not much of a stealing a base threat, but he will be held. Yeah, so Moreno comes in for McRae as a pinch runner. We've got 2 outs. It's a 5-1 Royals lead. Just looking here at our chances of stealing with Moreno. We're looking at best at a 12 if I get that good lead. But here's the problem. There's an opportunity for him to be caught off first as well. I'm going to leave Moreno there, but I am going to hold him. I'm going to pitch Frank straight up. So Berenguer is going to pitch. And that is a 4 and a 9 against a right-handed batter, and that's a ground ball shortstop X. So just as I mentioned, Herbeck would be the first baseman I'd want to have in the bases loaded situation with the ball hit to him. Gagne is who I'd want to have on a ground ball to end the inning for my opponent. They weren't the best fielders, they were pretty good, but as a kid I thought they were the best. So that's a 6. A 6 and a 2 results in a G2 hash. Ruh-oh. But Berenguer was not, or excuse me, Gagne was not holding the runner on base, so we'll ignore that. And then a 24. And I rolled a 12, 15. Uh-oh. E1. So that's a G2 hash E1. So G2 E1. Error, batter to first, runners advance 1 base. So the guy who I thought couldn't make an error actually does. So Gagne is going to be charged with an error. Wilson is going to score. So will not be charged, Berenguer. And then we're going to have Moreno go to second, and then White is going to be at first. So a busy inning here. Berenguer has given up 2 runs. Going to go ahead and see if he can't get Balboni out. 2 outs, runners on first and second. Moreno will not be held. He's not much of a stealing threat with a second rating of 4 if he doesn't get a good lead here. So a 6 and an 8. 6 and an 8 against the right-handed batter is a strikeout. So Berenguer is able to get that final out on a strikeout. However, he does give up 2 runs as well. So after 8.5, the Royals have expanded their lead. 6. And it's now 6-1. Kansas City. Twins bottom of half of the 9th coming up next. Saberhagen looking to close out a complete game performance here. Pitch to Gagne is a 4 and a 10. 4 and a 10 against a right-handed batter is a fly ball center field X. The ball is hit to Kirby, or excuse me, is hit to not Kirby Puckett, Willie Wilson. Equally as great, almost a Kansas City outfielder as Puckett was for the Twins. He is a 1 and a 2. Remarkable, actually. Here we go. A 6 and a 5 on a 10. That's going to be an F2. And that's going to be a 2. And I rolled a 10. It's a blank. So that's a fly out to center field for the first out. So Gagne is retired. It's going to bring up my favorite twin, Kirby Puckett. Puck on the day, 1 for 3, had a single in the second, not much more to speak about than that. It's a 2 and a 2 against a right-handed pitcher, results in a single. That picks up his second single for the day. Gives the Twins some hope. Kent Herbeck is up next. The big bruiser is 0 for 3 on the day, 2 flyouts to right field, and then a ground out 2-3 in the first. Puckett is not going to be held. Between the catchers, Jim Sundberg, his -2 arm, and Saberhagen's -2, not going to get Kirby thrown out of the inning. Pitch to the left-handed Herbeck is a 6 and an 11, is a ground ball, second base B. That's going to result in the batter being safe and Puckett being thrown out. So 2 down. Herbeck reaches on a fielder's choice. Take a look at my speedsters here. Mark Davidson is going to come in and run for Herbeck. Davidson has a running rating of 1 to 15. He's going to be held. We've got Gary Gaetti on, or in the batter's box. I'm going to roll for a good lead for Davidson on a 2 through 5. He achieves it. And that's a 4, so he gets a good lead. He's going to now steal, so that's a -6, 2 for Saberhagen, -2 for Sundberg, and then -2 for the good lead. So that takes the 19 down to 13. So Davidson's going to try to steal, and that's a 7. So Davidson does steal second base. So the Rat has a twin in scoring position here. Gary's going to swing away. Defense is playing normal, looking for that the third out of the inning here. Goes down that complete game for Saberhagen. That's a 5 and a 7 against a right-handed batter, results in a strikeout. So that ends the Twins' threat in the bottom of the ninth. Saberhagen completes a complete game. Royals are going to win this one 6-1. Signing out from the Hubert H. Humphrey Metrodome. Thank you for watching, everybody.